I'm currently standing in a parking lot, though in about 7 years, this will be a river. It's all part of Toronto's billion-dollar flood protection plan that is also going to create a brand new island that will be home to 6,000 residents.
Here we go. Count of three. 1, 2, good.
A ceremonial soil toss for a project that has been years in the making.
This construction is going to be completed in 2023, and I think the really important thing about it is that, first of all, it's actually happening.
The plan in place will transform the underused post-industrial Portlands into a brand new island complex with parks, new bridges, and a new community, while also protecting the southeastern portion of downtown from mass flooding as serious weather events hammer Toronto with more and more frequency.
It's absolutely vital. It's not just this area, which is not heavily used. It's a bunch of residential spaces east of the Don, north of Lakeshore Boulevard, so the south of eastern area, Leslieville, are actually prone to flooding.
When we see those big rains, we see Bayview flood over, we see parts of the Don Valley Parkway flood over.
Unfortunately, those will continue to flood because the Don Valley is the Don Valley. It's some things like the brickworks and the Don Valley Parkway were built in the floodplain, and there's no way to remove them unless you actually remove them from the floodplains.
One look at this massive model gives you an idea of the scope of the project. This winter, excavation is beginning on a new kilometer-long natural spill well and mouth for the Don River right in the center of the Portlands between the Ship Channel and the Keating Channel. This will create what is for now being called Villiers Island.
One of the big parts of this project is actually the treatment of the soil. So we're not just excavating and disposing of 1.4 million cubic meters of soil. We're actually going to treat it and reuse 80% of it, because part of what we're doing is not just excavating New River, but actually raising the grades of all of the Portlands where we are here.
The price tag comes in at $1.25 billion. An economic impact study has found that the development will generate more than 51,000 full-time years of employment, $5.1 billion in value added to the Canadian economy, and $1.9 billion in revenues for all three levels of government. The groundbreaking was attended by each level of government except Ontario's Conservatives. The Waterfront Toronto says it was simply because of a scheduling conflict, vowing that the province is on board. Mayor John Tory did his best to avoid any mudslinging today.
We're only able to do this because we have and we continue to work together. I believe the people we all serve, federally, provincially, and municipally, are their happiest when they see us working together to actually get things done.
To get an idea of the scale of the new waterway that'll be running through here, the mouth of the river will be from that white crane to the Lafarge building, and it will be running straight into Lake Ontario. Ahead on City News, we look at if this new billion-dollar flood protection plan does enough to help clean up Toronto's inner harbor, or will the influx of people make it even more of a sewage cesspool. Earlier on City News, we told you about the City of Toronto's new billion-dollar flood protection plan. In part, it's going to build a river that's going to flow here right into Lake Ontario. It's also going to create new park space, a new island, a new home for about 6,000 residents. So does the plan do enough to help with the city's ongoing efforts to clean the inner harbor?
I've been an environmental lawyer for 25 years, and I've seen a lot of problems and a lot of pollution. But what we see in the Toronto Harbor after a big rainstorm is about as bad as it gets.
While on his way to deliver a keynote speech in Ottawa today, we caught up with Mark Matson, the president of Swim Drink Fish Canada. Matson and his team, the Lake Ontario Waterkeepers, took thousands of photos and more than 900 water samples of Toronto's inner harbor this summer.
We found high levels of E. coli. We found, all kinds of floatables, plastics, condoms, needles, tampon applicators, dead rats.
Perhaps what's most telling is that historically high levels of E. coli are usually found in the lake after large storms. But this year, they also found dangerous levels on sunny days, well after any storm had passed over the city.
You can't just move people to the waterfront without cleaning up the waterfront. They have to go hand in hand.
Matson says the fact the city has finally realized the potential of Toronto's harbor is a positive. Today's flood protection announcement will see the Portlands transformed, with thousands of residents expected to move into this new island community on the water. We asked John Tory this question today. The inner harbor on days when it rains, and even when it doesn't rain, is still turned into pretty much a toilet bowl. Is any of today's announcement, this billion-dollar project, going to clean up the inner harbor as more and more people come to live here?
I would just say, first of all, that there's work being done by the city principally, which involves hundreds of millions of dollars in order to make sure that one kind of contamination of the inner harbor that happens during storms is rectified over time. I've seen those pictures. I've seen it with my own eyes when I go to some of the slips where we want people to walk along the waterfront. We want them to be right next to the lake. We want them to be taking small boats out into the harbor. It's part of the joy of having summer in a city that's on the water. And that's the whole idea of reforming the waterfront. So I think we have more work to do there.
The work being done that the mayor touched on is part of the city's 25-year investment to fix the combined sewer overflows. Though Matson notes when he began working on these issues in Toronto in the 90s, he was told Toronto had a 25-year plan. In 2018, Toronto still has a 25-year plan. I'm Adrian Ghobrial for City News.